Today I'm walking you through a CAM reconciliation case study using the database system I created. I designed this database to take the complexity out of reconciliations. It organizes property information, applies lease terms, tracks expenses, and produces accurate reports for owners, managers, and tenants, all automatically. Instead of relying on manual spreadsheets or inconsistent methods, the system I built does the heavy lifting. So every reconciliation is consistent, transparent, and defensible. The database begins by organizing the property information. In this case, we have a 50,000 square foot office building. The system records each tenant's lease space, tenant A with 20,000 square feet, tenant B with 10,000 square feet, and tenant C with 20,000 square feet. That translates into pro rata shares of 40%, 20%, and 40% respectively. It also captures the total building operating expenses for the year. In this example, $500,000 covering taxes, insurance, maintenance, and utilities. By structuring the property this way at the start, the database is able to calculate estimates, track expenses, and later perform reconciliations with complete accuracy. The database starts by capturing the lease terms for each tenant, square footage, percentage share, and billing method. For this building, tenant A occupies 20,000 square feet, or 40% of the building. Tenant B has 10,000 square feet, or 20% of the building. Tenant C also has 20,000 square feet, or 40%. Using those shares, the database generates monthly estimated bills based on the budgeted expenses. For this year, the budget was set at $480,000. At the same time, the database tracks actual expenses as they occur. By year end, those expenses total $500,000, setting up the need for a reconciliation. Because all of this is automated, the system keeps owners, managers, and tenants aligned on both the estimates during the year and the actual cost at reconciliation. The database doesn't just identify shortfalls mid-year, it also resets the billing for the rest of the year. Here's how it works. At the end of July, the system looks at actual expenses year to date. In this case, January through July. It annualizes those actuals to project the full year will actually cost. Then it recalculates each tenant's monthly charges for July through December so they're as close as possible to the year-end total. But here's the key. I designed the database so it leans slightly over. That way, tenants may end the year with a small credit rather than being hit with an additional bill. This approach builds trust with tenants because they're not surprised with a large shortfall, and it protects the owner by keeping cash flow consistent throughout the year. At year end, the database compares the actual expenses to the total tenant billings. But because the system annualized the mid-year actuals back in July, the tenant's monthly charges from July through December were already adjusted. That means the year-end reconciliation is much smaller and more predictable. Instead of tenants facing a surprise shortfall, the database is designed to slightly over-collect. That way, it's the landlord who typically issues a small credit back to the tenants, not the other way around. In this example, the budget was $480,000 and the actual came in at $500,000. After the mid-year adjustments, tenant A, tenant B, and tenant C ended the year very close to their actual shares, with only minor credits due. This approach builds tenant trust, keeps owners whole, and demonstrates proactive financial management. From the owner's perspective, the database ensures everything is done right. It identifies shortfalls quickly, prevents the property from operating at a loss, and delivers reports that are consistent and transparent. Because the numbers come directly from the system, owners know they can rely on the results, and tenants see that the process is fair. From the tenant's perspective, the database delivers exactly what they want, detail. Instead of a vague invoice, the system produces a reconciliation letter showing their amount due, in this case $8,000, along with a clear breakdown of taxes, insurance, and utilities. It explains increases, shows the math, and makes the process transparent. That's what minimizes disputes and builds confidence in the numbers. The database doesn't just calculate numbers, it produces the deliverables each party needs. For the owner, it creates a summary report showing the total budget versus actual expenses and how much was recovered. For the property manager, it generates a detailed worksheet, the full breakdown, line by line, of every expense and every tenant share. And for the tenants, it prepares a customized reconciliation letter written in plain language, showing exactly what they owe, or if they're due a credit, along with the supporting details. By standardizing these reports, the database makes the entire reconciliation process accurate, transparent, and easy to communicate. The database does more than just crunch numbers. It's designed to build trust. It guarantees accuracy because all calculations are automated and tied directly to the lease data. That builds credibility with owners. It guarantees transparency because the reports and letters are consistent, detailed, and easy to understand. That builds trust with tenants. And most importantly, it's built to annualize actuals mid-year and adjust tenant charges so that reconciliations end with small credits, not big bills. That single feature changes the dynamic completely. Tenants feel taken care of, owners stay whole, and reconciliations become a positive communication tool instead of a point of conflict. If you've ever struggled with CAM reconciliations, this is exactly why I built the database. It does the math, generates the reports, and prepares the tenant letters automatically. But it also goes one step further. It's designed to adjust mid-year so that reconciliations usually end with small credits and not big surprise bills. That simple feature builds trust with tenants while protecting owners. And it makes reconciliations a positive process instead of a painful one. If you'd like to see how it works, I've created templates and worksheets based on this system. You'll find the links in the description. And if you've got CAM questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll answer them in a future video.